Let's see where the conversation goes. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Never Ending Nerd Debate Podcast, where all things are on the table for discussion, and we're just nerds while doing it. This is episode 10, I believe, and once again, we're all wearing the same clothes because this is filmed on the same day as the last episode, except for Ashley because she wasn't here. But yeah,
it's focused on your head.
The camera's focusing on her head. Yeah. So Philip just got married.
How's that? Can I say something? Congratulations.
Thank you.
We were all so happy at you all's wedding.
No, for I was cheesing the most at y'all. It's like I don't know. I don't know if anybody get offended by this. I don't really care. Like it's how I feel. I was the most genuinely happiest at your wedding so far. I was like, that's my Philip.
How are you gonna be the most genuine? Everybody was happy.
No, I was genuine. I was happy for everybody, but I was like cheesing the most at yours. I was
like,
that boy Philip, right? He
married. Look at them.
He said it took a long time.
And we all but no, but for real.
It took a long time.
But it was just like, it was such a happy day. And then I was really happy that Pastor Dina told us she was like, all right, ladies, don't lock your knees back. Go ahead and wrap your bouquets with tissue so you don't break formation if you start crying. Because when Megan walked in and she started tearing up, I was like, oh my God. It was just so beautiful.
Was that before or after you almost fell?
Oh, that was after.
You almost fell?
Oh, you didn't see because you was focused on her.
She almost fell.
Yeah. So always him, your bridesmaids, dressed ladies if it's long, because I almost died walking on that stage. I really had a moment where I was like,
how bad was it?
Like
everybody was like, oh.
No, but the thing is, I'm so, like, I'm clumsy enough in my everyday life that I was not even embarrassed. I was like,
well, yeah, it happens. That's like 17 times this week.
Did you like almost fall off the stage?
No. I just like my dress caught a little bit. Like a couple steps up.
Oh, you were up there.
Yeah. It's like after I lost Pastor Sean's support, because he was like holding my hand, and then I was like, oh shoot. But after that, I recovered. I was fine. I just made sure I held on to it. I was like, damn, I need you to support me as I walk off the stage.
Oh, did y'all do your little...
Yeah, it didn't go that well, but it was cool. But yeah, it was just up there, and then when, like, they pronounced y'all husband and wife, and, like, or in Jesus' name and stuff like that, you started crying. I was like...
You started tearing up before she was even in the room.
It was so beautiful.
He was tearing up before she was even down the aisle, bro. I was looking from the balcony. I was like, that boy Philip.
What do you call me now? Mr.
Oh, Mr. Shuford?
You can always call me Mr. Shuford now that I'm married.
Y'all been married like 2 weeks now, right?
Yes.
How's it been?
It's been great. I love it. I can't wait to go back home.
But you're like going home to your wife.
Yeah, she's always there. Like I was telling Christian, I watched House. I'm late on shows. Like I just finished like Sopranos. I just finished like The Wire. Like I'm really like late on shows. I'm watching House now. I love it. It's repetitive. It's the same thing basically over and over, but I love it.
Yeah.
And they did an episode where the husband had to pick his wife, and his wife was pregnant, but she was sick because it's a House. It's a doctor show. So basically, she was gonna die no matter what. But they had to ask the husband, if you want your baby saved, we have to basically, your wife got to kill her now to do the surgery and everything. You have to sign. And like now being married, I'm like, oh, my wife, So I was like, oh yeah, it does hit you differently. So possibly in the future, distant future, when I have kids, probably feel the same way about kids and everything. Because people are like, oh, once you're married or once you have kids, like you feel differently about kids. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I can see that now, especially being.
I mean, you already like kids though.
Yeah, I like but you probably like love them even more.
I mean, I like kids now, but I'm like a future some fathers. Like, okay, this is my kid. Or your kid too.
Appreciate you. That's your
question for you. Do you think your future husband, because you are engaged, do you think he's gonna cry?
I feel like it might happen.
See, I told him.
He says no, but I feel like it might happen.
I think he's going to cry.
But also at the same like cheesing, like when we see each other. That's what I kind of envision happening.
I think his dad's gonna cry, and the
If
only
he-
reason he will not cry is because he's forcing himself not to cry.
I genuinely believe, before I was like, I did not expect myself to cry. I'm open if I cry, then I cry. But I really feel like every bit of our relationship, like when we got engaged, I wasn't like, I'm about to cry, I'm nervous, any of that. I was like, bro, I'm so excited to go to this next step. I really feel like I'm gonna be cheesing. Like that's how I feel.
True.
Because when I got ready to get down on one knee, I was like, right before my heart fluttered a second, and as soon as I got down, I was like, yo, like this is going down. Like I was so excited that I didn't get nervous. I was just like, yeah, I've been waiting all this.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
So I
live it.
feel like I'll be like,
Are you gonna cry?
Oh my god.
She's gonna cry.
I feel like I will, unless I'm just overwhelmed with excitement. Like I'll have to feel a really extreme emotion.
I was shocked.
That's how I sound.
Oh, me too. That's when I
Now,
started
who-
crying.
who's
Megan.
Megan.
Oh, I thought you said Daniel. I was like, really? I was like, yo, brother?
Are you gonna cry for Ashley and Zach?
No.
I don't care about them.
Okay. Alright.
We was about to give this man a bookshelf.
Because they stole my bookshelf.
we literally talked earlier about we're gonna give him this bookshelf back.
Did you tell him?
I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, go ahead.
So this man, at their house, so they still live together currently. We're actually in our new apartment. So they're still living there, and apparently Ashley has been cleaning out a room that's like right next to hers because she's like, I want to go ahead and start getting my stuff out of there and start slowly transitioning over to the new apartment and all these different things. So there's a bookshelf that has books from all of the family on it. She's like, okay, I'm tired of waiting. I know I want this, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off. And then what she does, being responsible, she asks the person who bought the bookshelf if she could have the bookshelf, which is her mom. Her mom was like, you can have the bookshelf. So she cleans it all off, then I come over, I pick it up, I take it to the apartment. That man Christian comes the next day. How you gonna steal the bookshelf when I had plans for it?
Why you say it like
He literally says, I thought you cleaned it off for me to use.
No.
That's literally what you said.
No, I said, why do you think I got excited when it was cleaned up? Because I got home, I looked at the bookshelf, I was like, oh, jump, y'all cleaned it off. Not necessarily for me to use, but I was like, oh, okay, that's one less thing I have to do. Because I'm about to
For you to use.
Because I'm about to clean up this room and make it into a hangout den. I didn't think you cleaned it off for me to use. I was just like, oh, you took your stuff off of it. That's just one less thing I have to do in this room. Next day, the bookshelf gone. I was using that bookshelf for a TV stand.
But
I asked my mom.
and he had not communicated that to anybody. Also, what he says when he was cleaning the room, she had been cleaning the room for the last couple of weeks, getting all of her stuff out
So
of
we
it.
lying on the podcast?
No,
now?
because you showed up to my door. Yeah, I'm going to clean up that room. You need to figure out what you want and don't want. And I'm like, I don't care what you do. And that was the end of it.
That doesn't have anything to do with the bookshelf.
I just said, I don't care. Nothing about
Look,
what
y'all,
you do.
you can use the technicalities to win the argument.
It's
if
not
you
a
want to.
technicality. That's
Technicality.
No, listen.
I went through the right
This
path.
is why it's a technicality. You saying the right path and all that. I get that. For a freaking 20-year-old bookshelf that's been sitting there vacant, our mom doesn't know that exists. I don't have to ask for permission to put a TV on a 20-year-old bookshelf that has become a remnant in time. She doesn't remember that. I was sitting in my head. I didn't know y'all were planning on taking it. In my head, this is just a bookshelf that's sitting at the house. Realistically, by technicality, who is asking to put something on a bookshelf that's been in their house for 20 years? You're not about to go to the owner of the house and ask if I could put something on this bookshelf.
I just don't understand why you're so mad, especially because I asked and you said nothing.
I didn't know y'all were planning on taking it. It was just a bookshelf. I was like, okay, I'm gonna use
But
this.
the thing is, if you have plans on using something, doesn't it make sense for you to ask if anybody's using it?
It's been sitting there 20 years, Zach.
Exactly. That's why I asked Mom.
You're
Did this happen to you?
You're not gonna see you see something sitting there. This has been sitting here for X amount of years. It's unused. You're not asking for permission.
But she literally did. But she did.
But what if she like had some
It's
sort of
not
like
yours.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's
Thank
a
you, Philip.
bookshelf that's been sitting in your house for 20 years. You're gonna
It's-
ask for permission to use
Okay,
that?
but it's your mom's. It's been in her
My
house
mom,
for 20 years.
She does not know that bookshelf exists.
She does now because Ashley asked about it.
And then the thing is, this man is still pressed, and we were like, Christian, you can have the bookshelf back.
Nah, because now you're trying to use reverse psychology on me to make me feel like I'm the worst
We
person in the
really
world.
don't. We really don't care.
No.
It was really like, you know what? If he really wants
If
it,
he's that pressed,
You putting a bookshelf?
You
You
can
use
have
a
it back.
bookshelf for a TV stand?
It's the downstairs room where we used to film the podcast. I was going to turn that into a hangout room. I was going to put the TV on top of that, put all my retro consoles on those two shelves right there.
But how does the bookshelf? Is it?
it's that one right there that you're looking at.
Oh. Yeah, you're not kidding.
No,
what?
he-
No,
he
we
can have
were
it.
like, you can have it back. We'll just go to a nice Goodwill and
And
get
get
another one.
Nah,
and now he's just
nah.
like, nah.
Nah, because now you trying to make me feel bad, bro.
Bro, you could drill a hole in the back of it.
That's what I was going to do and put the wires through it,
Yeah.
bro.
You was gonna drill a hole
Yeah.
with what?
I don't know, we got a saw or something, no?
A saw, no. That's
Not a saw, you know what I meant.
No, we
power
don't know
drill.
what you mean.
Power
Because you
drill.
got no tools.
A power drill.
Side note,
You need to get Kendall to do it, not
it's not that hard. I could do
That's
it.
what I'm saying. I've done stuff like that
Ask Kendall
before.
to build a bookshelf.
We're not gonna. Of all the things we can ask him to do, we're not gonna ask him to build a bookshelf.
What else would he do?
Anything he can make it all. We're not asking for a bookshelf.
Shout out to
That's a
Kendall.
waste. That's a waste of Kendall's
That man, he
abilities.
needs a shop. Like, he needs an online store because he
Yes,
is
like-
talented.
He's engaged too.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Literally
This
everybody
man.
we know is either engaged or having kids.
It's
Slick.
Everybody we know, not
A
my
lot.
age group. They're a sub age group older.
he's young. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
21.
that's true.
They're like 45 each.
I'm
Each.
25. I'm 25.
People get married older now.
That-
Oh yeah,
that's
on
very
average,
true.
yeah, I've
It's
heard
like,
that.
yeah, I want to be stable so I can actually support my family,
Yeah, and not have to
contribute
struggle
to
as
the
hard.
household. Because guess what? I ain't wait this long to eat ramen noodles.
Well, that's because
I'm struggling. Oh,
Never
we're still
mind.
good.
I'm
I'm
just,
not ramen noodle struggling though.
No, we have chicken.
no.
He said we got shit. I would have to request that Philip raises his voice again on the podcast because he
Wait.
decides to talk like this.
Random question, because I was asking
He's
Ashley this
tired.
earlier.
Mhm.
What is your favorite food? Because I think mine actually changed. I used to say it was chicken, but encompassing everything, my favorite food is actually sandwiches.
I feel like that's a cheat.
No,
No, that's not cheap.
no, I legitimately love sandwiches. Like I eat it almost every day.
True, but isn't that like that's like an amalgamation of food?
I know, but that's what makes it so good. It's like I can go PB&J, I can go turkey, I can put chips on it, I can go chicken
Chicken.
sandwich,
And what's your favorite sandwich?
Oh, yeah, that's
Ooh.
yeah.
chicken tender stuff from Publix with bacon on it.
Good choice.
Mine's a tuna sub from Subway.
I love tuna. No, I love chicken salad. Chicken salad might be my jam,
I'm
though.
not gonna lie. Go ahead.
Club on a sub, Firehouse subs.
The sweet
I
onion,
love some Firehouse.
sweet onion chicken teriyaki at Subway.
Wait,
You know who
chicken?
That was no, not
Back in
now.
the
day.
Back
When
in
she-
the
when she
day.
used to eat
But I
that.
think what I like better is the Philly from Publix, like the hot subs from them.
Their hot sauce busted.
Oh, when my mom was like, "We're going to Publix," I was like, "Yeah."
You know who sandwiches high key used to be good? Quiznos, but they all shut down.
So
All of them
yes,
shut
there
down?
was a chicken bacon one.
If there's a
It was
Quiznos
so
out
good.
there, I don't know about it. All the Quiznos in our
we would,
immediate
hey,
area.
we would love to be sponsored by you guys. If there's a Quiznos out there listening,
There's one
We
one
love-
last Quiznos
we
in
love
Houston,
Quiznos.
Texas.
We
Like
love 'em.
like Blockbuster, that one random Blockbuster that's still open.
There's
Yeah,
still a
where?
Blockbuster.
There's like
In
one
Alaska.
Blockbuster.
in Alaska.
It's in Alaska. Huh.
I know it because of the.
But my
No,
favorite
last week
food,
tonight.
I really love waffles.
You do love waffles.
I like blueberry waffles, pizza.
I can say pizza
what-
like that's my favorite junk food.
See,
Pizza
I can-
is
I
can-
so
You gotta nail
good.
it down
though.
like junk
Don't you
food.
figure?
Pizza
Don't you
is
feel
great.
like pizza is just like you get it and you're like, bro, why is pizza so good?
You can always. What do you mean?
What?
No, I love it, but it's not my favorite. Like, if I didn't eat pizza for a year, I'm like, okay.
Who doesn't eat pizza for a year?
I mean, I could go away
When
with
we
it.
were younger, like when my parents were married, I don't know what it was. We never ordered pizza.
Zach, you so wrong.
what? Don't be looking crazy now. Like,
Mathematician.
okay. when they were married, we never ordered pizza. The only time was like my cousin came over once, and my dad was like, "Yeah, you want me to order pizza?"
What'd y'all get?
I don't even remember. It was back when Pizza Hut was really good.
What's your favorite
Pizza
pizza?
Hut. Pizza Hut. still, I don't care. People like, my wife likes what is it?
Anticos?
Anticos,
His
yeah.
wife likes it.
No, but what's your
My
not your favorite place?
Anticos. I've never heard of. That's a pizza spot.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to be mean. This is not a race joke. Is that like a Hispanic pizza spot?
Nope.
That sounds Hispanic.
It's Italian.
Wow.
That literally.
Pizza sounds Hispanic.
Anticos?
No.
That's Italian.
Nah.
Yes, it is.
What?
Nah, dog.
50-50, Christian.
You don't get to just say no. It's literally Italian people running the place. It's in Atlanta, and it's like Italians are running the place, and there's different types of people who work there, but like it's an Italian, like I don't know if it's a chain
I
place.
mean, there
but
was a Hispanic at the register, but it's Anticos is not Hispanic. It's Italian. It's Italian.
Speaking, you know.
Are you,
I don't know.
Are you sure you want
Okay, no, I don't know. I don't know if this is treading the line or what, but you know, I don't know why.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know why I just did that half-done Bill Cosby voice.
We are not supporting that.
I'm not saying that.
All we're doing is laughing on the
He
phone.
just got a funny voice. But at these Asian restaurants, when all the chefs and the cashiers are of Caucasian descent.
That's not true.
But it's
Where do you go?
Where do you go?
At
Royal
Royal Sticks,
Okay.
at Royal Sticks, they're like
One.
they have a lot of
it's an
white
Asian
people.
place. It's an Asian food place.
One.
All the white people. It's
Where's
white
the
Well, I
people.
don't really know
That's
the other
one.
ones.
Where's the other one?
And,
So you're literally
no,
basing off.
no,
Asian
no,
food
I'm
places to
not.
the one.
I've been in a few like Chinese food restaurants where it's like either white or black people. Like I'm like, but this is the Chinese food.
It's not really.
It's
Chinese
American
food.
Chinese food.
I mean, true.
Because trust me,
Oh yeah,
Real
Panda,
Chinese
Panda
food?
Express.
no, real Chinese food is nothing like
Panda
that.
Express is
Yeah, I've heard that actually.
I've been.
You say
It's
Chinese
delicious.
food and then you say Panda Express. That's so American.
That yeah.
Panda Express
I
is
meant
literally
American.
the
I
worst.
meant
It's
American,
like
not
an
Chinese.
insult to anyone who is.
No, that's an insult to food. Not to a Chinese food or
Panda
American.
Express is not good.
It's trash.
I've
No,
never
it's
been.
not.
Like it
Don't
has
sponsor.
Such, it has
Don't
such
sponsor.
a bad reputation that
No,
I've never
you
tried
should
it.
take any sponsor. I'll take it.
No.
It's literally like the best thing about Panda Express is the plum sauce.
Never had it.
The best thing about Panda Express is when I walk out.
Honestly, I really loved like when I
The
used to eat
experience
chicken.
ending.
Mall Chinese food is just
Oh,
like
bro.
it-
Mall
I
Chinese
don't-
food that's on a
like I don't
different
think
level.
that's authentic either,
It's not.
but
It
it.
still be good.
Bust down.
Ooh.
Tatiana.
General Soul.
I think I like.
This man Philip is tired because he's talking at like
Ooh.
volumetric level 2 right now.
Are you?
Can you say volume?
Volume.
I think Anticos is Hispanic.
Anticos. That sounds like a Hispanic
Oh,
word.
it does not.
That's not ignorant. That sounds like a Hispanic word. If you were to place a bunch of words on a sheet of paper and you said, where do you think this word is from? And if I read Anticos, I'm going to think Hispanic.
I'm gonna think Italian.
Wait, where's that from? Hispanic.
That's general. You want to say Mexican? No. See, y'all coming after me. Y'all coming after me. I have a problem with this. Everybody always says, "Oh, we're gonna get Mexican food, and we'll go to a Guatemalan place." It's Hispanic food.
How often does
Or
that
Puerto
happen
Rican
to you?
food.
How often does that happen to you? Because you don't eat
You
nothing
don't
else
eat.
fancy.
Yeah, I'm like.
That man goes to Burger King and Wendy's.
Chick-fil-A.
That man said Dairy Queen. That's my real queen.
For real, we just went to Dairy Queen. He's like, oh, this is gonna be my #1 fast food place right now.
Basic level fast food.
That's
Look, very
Trash.
I heard
Wendy's.
Dairy Queen's burgers are
They
good.
are not top 4.
I thought their chicken tenders
Chicken tender.
had
I had the
popular.
chicken tender, the chicken tender basket
Yeah,
today.
what did you eat? When you go to Dairy Queen, you have to get ice cream
A blizzard.
No.
or something, or do you just
Peanut
go to Dairy
butter
Queen?
parfait.
You just go to Dairy Queen to eat the food.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. We
Their
used to
food is
eat the food
underrated.
and then we would get ice cream.
Was that when you were?
You can't.
Yeah, when we were traveling to my father's apartment. Yes, Zach. after a divorce, that I'm still working through. Yeah, that's that.
I hope my parents will never listen to this.
She's crying now. What are we talking about?
I I will bring this up real fast.
Oh man.
Did you all find?
Oh man, this is bad.
Did you all find? I want to ask this. Did you all find marriage counseling like therapeutic?
Oh
We
yeah.
go back to
No, because it just.
True. That actually does relate. Never mind. I apologize.
Yes. Yes. Did you get that kiss?
I'm sorry.
That's cool. We over here growing and working through stuff as an adult.
That's right.
But no, yes, marriage counseling was great. Stephen and Precious Hope was amazing.
I put the whole name up there. Continue.
What is it?
I mean,
You
you
take
can.
that off?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
cool.
think so.
It's cool. Yeah, you good.
It's alright. Ain't no wrong. But no, it was great. Like when we first did it, it's like we wanted some. We thought
Let off me. Dang.
we thought we needed other people, whatever, do it. But Stephen and Precious, they were the perfect people that we needed. Like exactly for everything, for all the ups and downs that we were going through. Exactly what we needed. So without them probably.
Yeah, marriage.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, because like we would how can I say this? Have conflicts or have conversations and communication that we needed to learn. And now since being married for even just 2 weeks or whatever, it's just like all this stuff we did. We literally like we me and her say it all the time. It's like we left it at the altar and it's like brand new and everything's been great so far. Like for real.
Lay it all down. Lay it all down.
Right? If you know more or whatever about the story, which maybe in the future we talk about and everything, but like literally all down at the altar and it's just brand new and it's just great now.
That's part of why I was cheesing so hard. I was like, this man Philip put in the work. Like both of y'all did. But I was like, y'all made it. I was like,
I'm gonna drive the boat.
I'll be
It literally was 5 years of left, right, up, down, fighting hard for it, but
foolishness.
he pointed at himself for the audio listeners. He
Yeah,
pointed at himself.
it was a little both, but I mean, I jumped the gun on a lot of things. I said I love her in the first 2 weeks.
Oh,
Don't do that.
That's real.
I did not know that.
That really.
Yeah.
you didn't know that?
I don't think I knew
Ain't no
that.
problem.
I may have forgotten, but
Yeah,
I did.
but I'm just saying a lot of stuff like I need it. God told me do this, do that. I would get 2 of them checked off the list and think I can go and be ready. And no, it wasn't. When God tells you to do something, get it all done and go do it.
So, that's preaching right there. That's really good, and I think that's a really encouraging thing. And you're right. We should do like a couples one where like some of the couples who have recently got married get on, because I think it would be really beneficial to see some of the things that they've learned over their short amount of time being married, and even have like Christian as like an interviewer type. Because I think one thing that I see is a lot of the other generations or our generation, sometimes we don't pass information between our generations well. Like, I was talking to a lady today and she was like, yeah, I always say that if the generation behind me is really struggling with something, that's because we messed up as the generation before them, which is really, really true in some senses. Sometimes they tell us and we just ignore it, but sometimes they have not passed on the information that we actually want to hear, but they're like, oh, they don't want to hear it, or they're not going to receive it well, or they'll say it in a way that they know we're not going to receive it, like, we're just going to scream at y'all, force y'all to do it, and not explain why. It's like, to a certain extent, with our generation, that doesn't work as well. So,
Generation's totally different.
yes.
Yeah, we just like, I think a lot of it's like we've watched our parents work jobs for decades that they didn't love just because they had to work it, or stick with each other just because like, even though it's like a toxic relationship and things like that. So to
Keep it going for the audio pause 1 second.
So, audio.
Say cheese, we're back. All right.
Hi, audio.
hello,
All right, what were we saying?
I don't remember now.
I low key lost my train of
About
thought.
our generation
But yeah, like
taking
people,
their jobs. stuff
yeah,
like that.
things like that. Like we're just different, and like we need to be. You have to communicate with people differently, and it's just, I don't.
Go check
Why
it.
is it?
I was like it inverted.
And we're like,
I was just gonna let it be.
Okay, I was like, what is happening?
then they feel
Is that
like,
here?
dang.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah, basically because I tweeted this a couple of days ago that I was just like, it really frustrates me, like when I see like people older than us complaining about us, and I'm like, but didn't you raise me? So it's just like, some of it's, yes, there's some stuff that's like, you know, you have to own up to your behavior. But when you raise entitled people or coddle people throughout their childhood and wonder why they have no backbone, you can't be mad that they're doing the things that you enabled them to do.
Also, along with that, the generations have changed so much, society has changed.
Yeah.
Like 50, 60, 70 years ago, if I went to college, I was getting a good job and I was making good money straight off rip. I went to college and I was looking for months and I could not find a job. Not because I didn't have good references, not because I didn't have good qualifications, I didn't do leadership opportunities while I was there. It was still a struggle just because that's just the way the market is, especially in the United States, it's so saturated. It's like, as the society changes, the teachings and the way that people communicate to the other generations has to change as well. That's why, like, all of us, I can say, are really, really big into talking to people who are younger than us and older than us to take some of that wisdom and pass it amongst our generation, but also be able to disseminate that to the people who are coming behind us. Because if we can't, then they'll just go through the same issues that people have went through for decades, and we want to try to change that. So.
Yeah, and I'll say this as like a spin-off of the question I was going to do earlier, because the whole mental health thing, that's like a whole episode in itself. But like, do you guys think that, well, no, not really do you think, but I very much so feel like as a statement, we're definitely like the first generation to kind of realize college isn't for everybody. Like how like the generation before us is kind of like, nah, like you gotta go to college to be anything in life. And I'm like, I don't feel that that's true. Not even because of the internet. I feel like the internet is definitely a big part of that, because it's like, because of the internet, you can do things like, I don't know, like how Gary Vee likes to say, like you could literally get paid to talk about the Smurfs. Like that's like an actual thing.
Yeah.
Like people have channels where they just review toys. So the internet has definitely opened up a lot of opportunity to like have, like, you don't have to go to college to make it, but I don't really think that's the case purely because of the internet. I just don't feel like college is this like this huge thing where it's like, you have to do this to obtain success in life. I'm like, you're not going to be a homeless bum just because you decided not to go to post-high school education.
I can understand why they thought that, though.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, for those who did go to college,
you were guaranteed
jobs.
Yeah,
so when you're growing up and all the people that you went to school with, those who went off to college all have good jobs, and those who didn't are struggling initially or struggling for a while, I can understand why you think in your heart, well, the only correlation and the only difference between me and my friend that I went to high school with is I went to college and I got a degree and now I have this job. I can understand why that would be something that you would think that your kids would need to do as well. But like we said, as society just changes and you're able to do, like the type of jobs that are around now are not the same jobs that are around 30 years ago. So because of that, there are certain jobs you have to go to college for. And now there are jobs that you don't need to go to college for, and you can still be just as successful as someone who did not go to college.
Yeah, like I would, if I could go back in time, let me tell you what I'm not going to school for. Art. I would not get an undergrad degree in art. Like, granted, my debt wasn't bad in undergrad. It got worse in grad school just because I was stupid with money. But like when I think about it, I'm just like, I would have gone to college for something different or not gone at all, and just worked it differently than I did, because I didn't have the knowledge, because my parents didn't have the knowledge and they didn't pass that on to me. And then another thing is like, it's financially stupid to give a 17-year-old, 18-year-old access to the amount of money that we're given or told to take out for school for the sake of like a guaranteed job at the end of it. Like, and then you don't get taught anything about the finances that you're handling while you're in school. And the pandering of credit cards to college students is ridiculous. Because I got a card and I was like, oh yeah, I'll be fine.
Oh, yeah,
with what job? Like, why did I think it was okay for me to get a credit card with zero money?
Because I think I don't know if it's credit card debt. I know student loan debt were like $1 trillion in debt. Easy. And car loans were $1 trillion in debt. I'm not sure if it's reached that for credit cards yet, but I honestly don't feel like it would be too far behind.
Credit cards.
I mean, maybe it makes up a very large chunk of like just the nation's debt, and it's like that's why I'm very thankful for like I've been listening to like a lot of Dave Ramsey recently, and it's like I've been like applying his stuff, and my bank account has like been the healthiest that it's ever been after I started applying his stuff. So I'm glad that like it definitely is like I lost my train of thought.
I will say though, to go along with that, like there are some people who I can understand why they felt like they had to do it.
Yeah.
For people who get to college all on their own, whatever little bit of scholarship they get, they have to fill the rest out with loans. Mm-hmm. They know they have a plan and a goal of something they want to accomplish, but the only way they can do it is going through college. I can understand why it's like, I need to take out student loan debt. I need to get a credit card because if I don't get a credit card, like for you, you wasn't eating. Like you weren't doing certain things if you don't. Like, so I can understand that it's like, and this is what I feel about most things. Them in and of themselves, they're not bad. Yeah. It just depends on the type of knowledge you have to go along with it and the way that you use that knowledge. Because some people have the knowledge and are still stupid. Like I remember this girl I went to college with. We were all like, I wasn't that close with her, but like her close friends were like, why are you spending this much on clothes and stuff like that? She knew it was dumb, but she knew she was like, but once I get my job, I'll be fine. Which realistically, technically she was right, but she was dumb at the same point because she's gonna have so much interest and all this stuff by the time she gets there. So we were like, you should just stop. Like you should need to start working on it now. She's like, I don't know. And it's like some people have the knowledge and choose not to, but I can understand for someone who's only known struggle to make it dumb.
Well, that's go ahead.
So yeah, I will say this. Like I chose college because I'm consider myself a very intelligent person. And then I also consider myself a very stubborn and independent person. So if I want to do something my way, I'm going to do it my way. But I felt like I know my background, I know my situation, I know like I'm just I was just like one step away from like it just being even worse just because when you're poor, you know, it doesn't take much for it to get worse. So I was like, all right, college will at least elevate me to something else. Which it did change well, honestly, I did have to go to grad school for it to change my tax bracket. But I chose that. I just don't want my kids to have to choose that. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But like even in that where you were saying like it's like well you just said something about like when that's what you know and things like that. It was something along those lines. I'm like, but that's literally why like if you look at it statistically, it's like 70% of Americans are living check to check because like unfortunately like the majority of us have that mindset where it's like, well, this is what I like. Nobody's being educated on money, how to manage money, how to properly use money. So then people think that debt is okay and that debt is normal or that you have to go into debt to be something. It's like that's just not the case. And I'm not saying you say like everybody just thinks like even then it's like because you said she had like the knowledge. But she was still doing it anyway. In my opinion, if you have the knowledge to do something, but you still act stupid, then you're like, it's not that you're stupid, but you're not ignorant. Because ignorance and stupidity is two different things. You're being stupid, you're just not ignorant. Because you have the knowledge, but you're still being dumb at the end of the day.
You're choosing.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd still say if you're not knowing what to do, always still try to get an education.
Yeah, whatever you do, be smart at it.
I'm just saying don't go
down college is not the only way.
Yeah,
but if you're just sitting there, it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. Might as well get an education.
And unfortunately, I don't know if this will shift. It doesn't sound as credible to be like, oh, I learned this from purely reading books, or I learned this from doing this, that, and the third. Because like even me, like I'm by no means am I like a professional or anything like that, but I have an interest in psychology, so I educate myself on psychology with like books and like watching like psychology breakdown videos and stuff like that. But it's like that would never sound as credible as, oh, I have a degree in psychology.
Well,
and again, I'm not saying like I'm on a professional level or anything like that, but even to some people, like because I didn't go to college for that, it won't be credible to any extent. Like it'll be like, oh no, you have no knowledge of this because you didn't go to college.
It depends. I feel like the world is shifting. Just like if you like say you like make it big as a filmmaker, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm really interested in the human psyche, and this is how I did it. Like people get on Skillshare and learn how to do things. YouTube is like billions of people are watching videos every day for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Wikipedia. You know, it's like it's not the most credible, but yeah, I did actually gain some knowledge from it.
Yeah, and
so I think that's what makes it dangerous and why some people are a lot more fearful of it, because when you go to college, most of those people are vetted sources.
Yeah, that's true.
They've done research versus when you're on YouTube and when you're reading books. Not to say that all of them are just crackpots, but it's more difficult to find out because if you're watching all of that by yourself and you have nobody coming behind you like, oh, this is a reputable source. This is why, blah, 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 blah. People don't know if you're doing that. You could be doing all the research.
Like cross-referencing.
Yes, to make sure.
Yeah.
But if they don't know that you're doing that for sure and they don't know you well, they're like, he could have just watched anything. He could have just watched a funny video about psychology, felt like he got all the information, and now he feels like he's read up on it. Versus this person's like, I've done papers about it. I've read. I've done all these things. I can understand why that person's like, I don't know if you really know anything about psychology. I'm not saying it's right, but
schooling does.
No, yeah, for sure. But even on like a different plane, like filmmaking, for example, because I want to be a filmmaker, and like everything that I know about film thus far, and everything that I've filmed thus far, like I haven't gone to film school. And again, it won't sound credible, but like I've learned from YouTube, like, oh, this is how you do this.
But
okay,
you also
this is how
learn
you
from somebody specifically too.
I mean that too, and hands-on.
Yeah.
And hands-on. I learned hands-on too, so it's an accumulation of things. For
I know,
sure.
but to be honest, if you just told me, it's like, yeah, with filmmaking, I feel like it's slightly different because of the medium and what you're trying to learn. Where it's not as like it is like perfectly set for like a YouTube. But if you told me like, yeah, I learned all the filmmaking stuff just from YouTube, I'm like, I wonder how much he knows. But then you're like, I worked with people who've done some kind of directing. I've worked with these stuff. To me, just as a person, that means more. Even if the person could be terrible, but most people will be like, well, if he said he's learned internship under somebody and he's done this, then it seems a little bit more credible.
Go ahead.
Because the source seems a little bit more credible off rip.
I was gonna say it depends on if I see your work first. Because if I see your film,
True.
and then you tell me you learned everything you knew from like Peter McKinnon and then like some other amazing YouTuber, I'm like, all right.
And even going off of that, like I'm not to sound anti-college, because I'm not anti-college. I do think though it's like we're definitely more keen to the fact that college isn't just like the one-way path, like all end all, and like you don't. There are certain jobs where you have to go to college. You want to be a doctor, you're not learning that on YouTube. Like you got to cut organs. Like you got to do that hands-on. You're not cutting organs hands-on in medical school, are you?
True.
No, that was a question.
Oh, they do certain stuff that like.
And like
They shadow
cadavers.
and then cadavers, and then they also do like, cause Ashley was telling me telling me that's the only other Ashley we all talk to.
They don't know that. Well, they don't even know her last name.
I know.
What?
Anyway, she was telling me about how she learned how to like deliver a baby from like a model, but she does not have the real life application yet, cause she's like. I mean, now she's older, but she was like 17 at the time and spent time at a medical camp. She's like, yeah, I know how to do this and all this kind of stuff. And we were practicing cutting umbilical cords and things like that. So it's like she did get some, experience.
Yeah. But even just like rewinding it a little bit back, I meant to make this point earlier about the whole finances thing. Like even I've seen like my own mindset shift in like finances, because there was one time, bro, I was being dumb with my money at first. Like, there was one, when the iPhone 7 came out, I literally drained my savings just to get, for the down payment on the phone. I was like, oh, the iPhone 7, I gotta get that. Drained my savings, and then use a good chunk of my upcoming check just for the down payment of the phone, and be able to have the phone for like the first month. Now my mindset is like, if I can't buy if I can't buy the phone, I'm not getting it. Because me personally, I'm not doing payments on the phone anymore. Like, they'd be like, oh, but it's affordable because it's $30. That's why like 70% of people have payments, and like 70% of people are in debt and stuff like that. Because when you have a payment here, a payment there, a payment here, a payment there, like that junk adds up. Not only that, but it's like your mindset with it. Because I'm like, oh, I can afford this phone because I can pay $30 for it every month. It's like, no, you just drained your savings to get it. Like, you can't afford that item. That's how I think now. Even with like, I used to, like, even, I don't buy Little Caesars anymore because I just had to get extreme with it. Because it's like, I literally used to buy Little Caesars because I couldn't afford a real pizza. Like, oh, I want Papa John's, or I want Pizza Hut, but that's more expensive. I can't afford that, so I'm going to get Little Caesars because that's like $5. And it's like, that may not make sense, but like mentally in my head it makes sense. It's like, I'm literally buying this because I can't afford what I really want. So it's like, obviously
So you just don't buy pizza, period.
No, I still buy pizza. I
So
just
you
don't buy
buy
Little
Papa John's.
It's like if I'm getting a pizza now, it's because I'm going to get the pizza I want, not because it's like, oh, I really want pizza, but I can't afford pizza, so I'm just going to buy the cheap $5 pizza. What?
So you budget
you
you budget for the thing that you want.
Yes, it's like, and it just even like shifting my mindset, and that made me think, okay, like how can I do better with my finances to actually be able to afford things, like not just
Which is really important going back to Philip, once you get married. Because there's a lot of, but for real, there's a lot of money for the wedding alone that's going in and out that you have to really budget and plan well for. You can't just pay for stuff just because like, okay, well I got the money, I'm gonna just pay for it. You really gotta start being a lot more frugal. So I think at the end of the day, you kind of got a little bit of our view on like marriage and finances and college and stuff like that. We can go in a little bit more depth in the future, but only if you're interested. And if you're interested, make sure that you are commenting in YouTube. Also, like and what do you do to the podcast?
Okay, if you're on Apple Podcasts and you rate our podcast, and then I don't think you can't drop comments on each individual episode, unfortunately. Hopefully they add it as a feature. Not on like Apple Podcasts. You have to like rate it and then like you could like drop a review or something like that. I believe it works the same as for Spotify. But yeah, if you are enjoying our podcast, if you're listening, then be sure to rate, like, comment, depending on which platform you're watching on. I don't know. We always struggle to wrap it up, so we're just gonna wrap it up because I don't know what to say. It's off the cuff. It's not scripted. Oh, can we acknowledge for a second? Zach was like, "I'm not about to be in this episode." First few minutes of the episode.
Just mention him.
He was sitting in.
He appeared.
He was sitting behind the camera. He came and sat.
I ain't doing
He came and crouched for the whole episode. He was like, "I changed my mind."
It's shit out his legs.
He just over.
Oh, John. But with that being said, we can't say it because this is a clean language podcast. Bar. With that being said, this has been another episode of the Never Ending Nerd Debate, TNEND. And we will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for future episodes. Okay, bye.
Gang.
That's not how you
That's
start
not
it.
the stop button.
It
The
says
stop button. It says it.
You did not hit it.
I did.